we all can get a sense of what someone is feeling emotionally, right? Just by their mere presence. I think it's 7% of communication is verbal. 93% of communication that's showing up in all sorts of other ways, tones, looks, nonverbal.
Welcome to Everything's Energy Show. I'm your host, Michael Scaler. Today, I am joined by Molly McCarthy Tweedy. She has a holistic space called Evolutionary Psychotherapy Holistic Center in New York. She has taken the mission on to find alternative ways outside of the normal pharmaceutical model to help humanity, society around her. And it's a really fascinating story to find people that are going against the grain or swimming upstream, because most people would just try and drug people out of drugs and out of their head. So tell me, how did you get into this?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really an honor. So for as long as I can remember, I have been really passionate to help heal the planet. And that's something that I still am really, really drawn to, even though I know it's a very big mission. And by healing the planet, meaning supporting the humans that are on it, the animals that are on it, and the trees, and the flora and fauna. So I grew up in New York. I grew up in a home with a father who is a psychologist and a mother who has one of the degrees that I have as well, which is a licensed clinical social worker, both very supportive in their field, in addition to, being really passionate to serve community. So that was something that I was very drawn to at a young age. When I went through college, I didn't necessarily know I was going to go into this field, but I did recognize that, in my upbringing, a lot of people would come to me for help. And I love being in a field where, my work is connected to my purpose so profoundly. And it's something that, I'm very drawn to inherently. In terms of, I've been in the field for about 26 years now, and I've worked in so many different types of facilities that are out there: domestic violence shelters, crisis hotlines, continuing day treatment programs, inpatient rehab, outpatient rehab, detox, psychiatric hospitalization centers, emergency rooms. The list goes on. And so,
So you have your center, but you were actually a social worker as well. So outreach into the community. So going out and finding people that really needed help and being that guiding light or that angel that they need to put them back on path. Let's first start. We'll go back to that, but let's first start with your center. Like, what do you do at your center that is helping people?
Yeah. So my business partner, Tiffany Schreff, and I co-founded Evolutionary Psychotherapy and Holistic Healing. We're located in upstate New York, which is about 2 hours north of New York City and about an hour south of Albany, the capital of New York. And we opened our doors in July of 21. We had started to plan during COVID, actually in 2020, creating this business. Her and I both had private practices at the time, and we were working at a crisis hotline center together, and just really agreed about the fact that, the type of healing that's out there is not necessarily the most conducive to what people need in order to make serious changes for their lives and better their lives.
The pharmaceutical side?
The pharmaceutical side definitely is one component of it. There's a lot to it, honestly. It's like, when you go into these facilities, and I've worked in so many different ones to have that experience. So I'm just sharing from my own experience. Let's keep that real. But, most workers are overworked, are underpaid.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people going into a psychiatric unit where they might be there for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and rarely seeing somebody individually, like just kind of being encouraged to go to groups and never really seeing their therapist. Their therapist is just tucked away in an office that doesn't have windows often, just doing paperwork, to document. And that's across the board in our medical facilities for sure.
The sad part about that is you kind of just elaborated to a big problem in society where there's so much damage being done, and there's just not enough people to support the damage that's been done.
Yeah.
So thank you for being out there and being the one of the first lines, the tip of the spear, so to speak, in helping humanity get back to a track or a perspective.
I know. When you think about it, it's like we're here. I believe that we're here to definitely get back to our more ancient roots.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that long ago that we relied upon, plants to help heal us. And obviously there's plenty of people who do that today and are really into that. But we don't necessarily have to go the pharmaceutical route. And by all means, I'm very supportive to the pharmaceutical route if that helps people. But I think there can be long-term effects. There can be side effects that can be really problematic. There's also a lack of efficacy for a lot of the, psychotropic medications that are out there, particularly antidepressants. Tony Robbins, in doing a lot of his seminars, will always say, like, how many people, know somebody who's on a psychotropic medication, and all the hands go up. How many people know how many people that are like on psychotropic medications for antidepressants and are still depressed, and the hands stay up, because it's true. It's like if we're taking a medication that's supposed to decrease that symptomatology and it's still present, then like how effective is it, And I think we're moving in the direction, or my hope, my prayer, my wish, dream is that we're moving in a direction where more people are recognizing alternative modalities. And that's what our center in upstate New York has. So to answer your initial question, and really like at the heart of our mission, it's been about shifting old paradigms that do not serve humanity from our experience, what we've witnessed, and what we've also experienced firsthand in our own healing process. This is Tiffany and I, as I'm sharing, my business partner. So we have, in our center, we have a clinical team, and we have all licensed clinicians that are part of that team who also offer alternative modalities to healing. We have a holistic consultant team. And so we have practitioners that are offering Reiki and hypnotherapy and acupuncture, different types of massage therapy, family constellation work, music therapy, drama therapy, art therapy. There's a whole array.
Yeah, I mean, so depression's a huge thing these days. And I don't believe that you can take drugs to get out of depression. You have to change everything that's going on in your life. Simply going to the gym, raising the endorphins, things like that are going to help. But people, they want a quick fix. And so someone might give them an antidepressant, but then now they're addicted to something that was a quick fix. So it's not a long-term fix. So how, if I was depressed and I came to you, what kind of trajectory might we take aside from using the normal model?
Great question. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think it's really beneficial for people to have someone professional to speak with about anything that they're going through. So even traditional psychotherapy, I think, can be really effective. We're living in a world today, we all know this, everyone's looking at their phone all the time, and it's a way, in some sense, maybe to connect to others, but it also can create a lot of discord or detachment.
It's escapism, really.
Yeah, a lack of belonging. Escapism is a great way to, kind of frame it. And so, and also the attention span of humans.
Yeah, we got ADD.
Gone down drastically. And so, which is really, really problematic. So I think a lot of times what my clients say to me is like, I don't really have anyone in my life who's really listening to me and really holding space for me when I'm going through something. Doesn't have maybe the attention span to even be able to, have me share to the level that I want to. And so there's a lot of people who, receive psychotherapy just to be heard and to have that sacred, special time kind of laid out for them to be able to talk about the things that are going on in their life that are obstacles and that they really want to problem solve. So
yeah, everyone needs a safe place just to express who they are, and then having someone to play ping pong with, like, well, is this a good decision? Maybe it's not. Could I make better life decisions?
Yeah.
Maybe use social media a little less, because it's such a fantasy land. People are posting these fancy cars and these expensive trips and these nice purses, and then everyone's like, oh, well, I deserve all these things, and it's all fake.
I know.
It's just an illusion that the internet's posting because people want to get interactions. A lot of these people don't even own the car, this fancy car that they're saying that they own. They've rented it just to create this illusion. And so when you live in a world of illusion, you feel like you're being left out because everyone's got all these things, but they don't have all these things. They're just pretending to. But you can't really pretend your way to happiness. You can say, I'm happy, I'm happy. It's like, that might help a little, but you need to go find happiness. You need to create it. You need to make it. You need to invest in becoming happy. You need to invest in your own psychological well-being, and that could be as simple as meditating. It could be art. It could be expression of some sort, but so many people are lost in societal's noise that they need to come find people just to talk to.
Keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
I was just at Unleash the Power Within in Los Angeles with Tony Robbins, his event there, and he had said something that was really profound. It was one of these like moments where it's like, it's so simply said, but it's so potent, and it's one of those things that, I think we all can relate to. But he said, people are not drawn to like those who are trying to be perfect because it's inauthentic. We're drawn to authenticity, right? And there are lots of people, and I think definitely social media is a great example of, wanting to try to be as perfect as possible and show the world that they are that.
It's material.
But it's not real,
yeah,
right?
It's illusion.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And then, there's so many benefits to AI, but there's also the dark side of AI too. How many times have we all looked at a video that we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, and then come to find out like it's an AI experience, and it's like it's not even real, and like, what's real?
That's
So
funny
anyway.
you bring that up. The lines of illusion keep getting more and more blurred with people faking the funk, and now AI literally, like, I can type in a prompt and say, put me on a jet plane with 10 supermodels and a stack of $1 million in my lap. And there's a lot of people out there, the AI is so good now that it'll actually look like me with that scenario. And people are like, oh my God, what's going on here? And I'm in reality, I'm just some nerd in my mom's basement with a computer and a prompt, so the illusion just continues to deepen as society moves forward. But we need to get outside of technology. I think a lot of ways we need to find ways to make ourselves better, and maybe you can give us, like, I'm sure Tony had some great insights. I love Tony quotes, by the way. Big fan of Tony Robbins. What else did you learn at his conference? It was like 3 days, right?
My favorite Tony Robbins quote is, "Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure." And
what does that mean to you? Well, dive into it.
I think there is such a strong connotation that all of us can connect to that word success. I think majority of people would probably say it means that I have money in my pocket.
For a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, that's what success means.
You go to a third
maybe
world,
it's I have
it's
a
just
lot of
I
friends,
have food,
or,
that's it.
Right, yeah, when you get down to the basic. But to each his own, right? Everybody has their own perspective. Whatever it is that we may be successful at, whether it's the money, whether it's the career, whether it's the socialization and the friends, whether it's winning the marathon or whatever it may be, it's like ultimately if we're not feeling fulfilled through that experience, then we're not going to feel great. Right? We're going to feel down. There's going to be self-loathing. And in some of the Tony Robbins seminars that I've been to, he will often tell the story of Robin Williams and the whole timeline of Robin Williams' life. And I have goosebumps even just like thinking of Tony sharing it in the way that he does. Because
speaking of depressed people, drug addiction, depressed, had all the money and the fame, and extremely funny, and he projected that funny that laughter as a way of trying to fill that void in himself, I think, and that's why he was so funny. But it was really sad to hear about his life story. I knew people that did drugs with him, and he was like, he's the funniest guy in the world, but he was so depressed, and he was constantly doing drugs. And I think this is one of the things that people glamorize famous people, but it's lonely at the top. And a lot of people are trying to take advantage of them, which becomes depressing as well. Yeah. And then you fall into drugs, of the peaks and valleys of that. So there's a lot to be glamorized about having a simple life as well. While people want the money and the fame, there's a double-edged sword with everything. Absolutely. And you have to balance it.
Yeah. There's so many people that like judge and shame others for having money, but it's like...
It's normally people that come from lack. And so they're lacking something, so they're judging it because they don't have it. Maybe it's bad. So they want to make that a bad thing because then they don't need to have it. There's a weird psychology in that. Wealthy people, they don't really care about being wealthy. They just care about being, well, not all of them, a lot of them, they don't care about being wealthy, but it's more about the success and the achievement and the fulfillment. And that leads to wealth. And then when people are lacking the success and achievement and fulfillment, they're like, well, I don't have money. But it's not about that they didn't have money. They're not seeking the right purpose in life. And I think that's part of your job really, is to help people get on the trajectory to finding the purpose. When you have the purpose, you find the fulfillment. And if you have purpose and fulfillment, you aren't depressed. You're successful. And that's where just doing small things like working out to a point where you're happy with the success you get, that'll pull people out of depression just in that. You know, finding yourself within through meditation, different wellness, holistic modalities is going to cause you to go within, so that you start the healing within, it starts to sprout around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know something that we were sharing about earlier, right, is that so often, you know, people will kind of look outside of themselves and, you know, talk about social media. It's a great avenue for people to look outside of themselves, compare themselves, feel that competition. But really, it's like we are so resourceful. We're so wealthy on the inside. There's such inner wealth that we can tap into that sometimes maybe we have forgotten about, or we've lost along the way, or just hasn't been activated. It's suppressed. We've got to find our way to kind of have it emerge and find it for ourselves. The more that we can be centered and grounded within and know the power that we have within ourselves and feel empowered in our step and our path in this life, the more successful we'll feel, right?
Was that a Tony thing? It wasn't the event called The Power Within?
Unleash the power within.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. No, but that's Tony's been doing this. I don't know how old he is because he looks way younger, but he is like the G of G's when it comes to getting people to release their inner potential.
Gosh.
So did you
seminars?
Did you feel like the power within you was unleashed afterwards?
Every seminar. I've been to 13 of his events.
Wow.
I've crewed at three of his events. I've been to his resort in Fiji and did life and wealth mastery there. Yeah, I've been around the block since 2017. What really inspired me, I mean, I remember seeing Tony on TV and things like that growing up as a kid, but then when I saw the Netflix documentary I Am Not Your Guru, it just,
I love that. I'm not your guru.
I know, right? I am not your guru. You are your own guru, right? That's
Absolutely.
really the message. Yeah. And so that's really at the heart of, you know, the work that I do, and our mission is really helping people to recognize the power that they do have within themselves to manifest anything that they want, you know? Something that we were just talking about in regard to success, right? And maybe for those who don't feel fulfilled in that success, it's like something that I really value is compassion for all sentient beings on this planet, that being any being of any kind, not just humans, but animals too. I love animals. And regardless of how successful somebody may appear or be, it's like, it's important for me in my philosophy, my value system, to have compassion for them. And I think something that's missing when it comes to those who are wealthy, and for those who judge those are wealthy, is that a lot of them are very lonely. Because like you had said, you know, so many of them, you know, don't know if people are genuinely connecting with them or if they're being used to some extent. And so there's that question around, like, who really is on my side? Who's really on my team? You know, who's really here? Who's got my back? Getting back to that authenticity.
And it's not just
authentic and genuine connections that we foster in this life.
Yeah, and it's not just wealthy either. Like I was a musician from 16 to, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 years ago. I was a DJ, and I was a popular DJ, so everyone would want to circle around me to be a part of this energy of this fame. I didn't have a lot of money back then, but it was the fame. So it's people are gravitating towards what they want, and it's very strange and stuff trying to create it. But a lot of people have a problem with finding a path towards creating it, so they just get lost in following it. And it's fascinating. So like, I wanted to bring up the energy of emotion. And what would that inspire you to think of in your practice?
The energy of emotion.
How emotions might affect your biofield and your energy and your surroundings.
So I believe that our thoughts precede emotions. So the divine order is, we have a thought, a cognition, then we have an emotional reaction, experience to that, and then we follow up with some type of behavior or action. So I think the key is really to be mindful of our thoughts, because then that will determine what our emotional reaction will be, and then how we ultimately react from that place in a behavioral way or action-based way.
The energy of a person's mind is extremely powerful.
Oh yeah.
If you get lost in a dark space, you don't tend to be productive. Versus if you expand on a positive thought, then you might break free of the day, so to speak, and go find some light somewhere, be happy and bounce around. So the energy of thought for me is find gratitude, I think, is a great place to start, because it doesn't matter how dark a day could be. You're alive. You have food. You have something. You have yourself. So start with basic gratitude on simple things, and then build the gratitude out. As you achieve more, you become more grateful for these things.
I mean, gratitude and anger will not reside in the same space.
Yeah.
Try to be angry when you're in the midst of focusing on something or some things that you're grateful for. It doesn't work.
I get this like meme image of someone, I'm so happy to be so pissed off right now. No one's like happy to be angry. It's so facts.
It's amazing. I mean, how many times, right, have you been in a particular space within yourself where you're, reflecting upon a memory that you're so grateful for, and maybe tears are brought to your eyes, or your heart just feels so much more full, and you feel much more present and much more connected to your life experience, to being a human on this planet at this precious and sacred time that we've all been given to be here. It's a miracle to be born, right?
So I love giving viewers some like daily tips and tricks of bettering their life. Are there practices that you deploy on a daily basis or weekly basis, or things that you would recommend your clients practice on a daily or weekly basis?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, within our center, right? So we've got our holistic consultant team where there's all these different alternative modalities that are offered for healing. And we do events and workshops and retreats. And all of that has been so inspired because myself and my business partner have been so attuned to integrating these types of practices in our daily life or our weekly life. I love going to ecstatic dance. It's one of my faves. I've been a dancer my whole life. I grew up doing ballet and jazz. I used to do point ballet.
So ecstatic dance, it's the sober raves normally, right? Where it's like dance music, and everyone's kind of in yoga garb, and so like it's like a
just
yoga
free
party,
form.
but everyone's just raging. It's almost like a nightclub or a rave or a party, but like everyone's more or less sober. Green tea, yerba, and cacao.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
got it. Totally. I grew up also doing tap dance, and then I started to learn, and I was in a dance group called Melody Africa. I started to do West African dance like in the early 2000s. And that's a real passion of mine. I love West African dance.
So moving the physical body, get the endorphins going, loosening things up. That's a great one.
Getting into a high peak state from that process. It's amazing what your mind starts to open up to when you're in that state, right? All of a sudden I have these like aha moments of clarity that really help to guide me.
Yeah, I used to be a musician, so I resonate with that. It was the best drug in my life, just being in command of a dance floor and watching everyone as one moving, and no one's thinking about much in that. You just watch them just moving, and they're just blissed out in that oneness and state of dance. So I think dancing is an amazing healing thing for almost anyone to do. So break out and dance, guys. What would be another thing? Obviously, you're doing stuff community wise.
I'm a singer. I'm also a frame drummer.
Well, that's
I love
the creative
a lot of
outlets.
Instruments. Yeah,
be creative. That's stimulating.
Be creative.
It's you're actually achieving something in being creative.
Totally.
Whether you're recording it or not, it doesn't really matter. But you get fulfillment from doing these things that emote. Like music is an emotion. Yeah.
We opened our center, Evolutionary Holistic Healing and Evolutionary Psychotherapy and Holistic Healing, in July of 21. And since that time, I mean, it's been so fascinating to be a part of this journey. It feels like just this blank canvas that I continue to, paint upon, change things up, add new things, subtract this, and just, it's like this art project that just keeps evolving and growing and moving. And so
that's another thing that's great for therapy is just creating art. Doesn't matter if you're good at art, just you can achieve. There's a lot of famous artists out there whose paintings are completely ugly too. So, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the achievement of completing a piece, or even half completing a piece, I painted in multiple paintings where I was like, I don't think this is finished, but I still hung it on the wall and never finished it. But now it's done apparently.
I mean, one of my favorite forms of art is children's art. We have 2 spaces within our business, and one of them is solely designed for children and families, and we have a whole little art gallery for children that has children's art. I did a couple workshops within our community for children that were free, where I offered meditation, guided imagery, movement. So we did some dancing, some singing. We made art, and they created these pieces that are now on our wall, and really, really beautiful. So yeah, art is another incredible outlet. I love breath work. Breath work is one of my faves, and I love the visuals that come through for me with breath work. Like, I will go into all sorts of little scenes.
You don't even need drugs, just breathe.
I'm like singing, my body's in all these interesting shapes and forms and sounds. These sacred sounds are coming out of my being. I'm like, whoa.
Are you making the sounds, or
now?
are you having like an internal music symphony?
Sometimes I make the sounds.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it all is contingent upon like the space that I'm in, because some of the breath work workshops that I've been to, it can feel like you're a sardine in a can, and you're like, okay, I kind of want to be mindful of the person whose shoulders I'm kind of touching right now, but in our center, we've really had some cool events. I mean, I've facilitated like the sound healing for them, but we've had breath work where we've had 2 people in each room. We have, candlelight. We've got our Himalayan salt lamps on. We've got little heaters, so it's nice and cozy. We've got all the pillows and kind of beds laid out and blankies, and everybody's comfortable. And then you have like a lot of space around you to be able to emote in the breath work. And then, offering all sorts of sound healing and different kind of music.
Your space sounds exactly like one of our EE system centers, but I don't think you have an EE system, do you?
We're in the process right now of like working towards building a center. So we have 2 spaces for our center. We have a 3rd floor space and a 2nd floor space in this building that's on Wall Street in Kingston, which is a really cool part of Kingston.
Are those streets safe these days? I heard like downtown New York was kind of overrun.
Well, this is 2 hours north, or an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending upon what part of New York City you're going to, from New York City. So we're an easy bus ride up from New York City.
Okay, so you're away from the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kingston was actually the original capital of New York, so it used to be the capital of New York before Albany. So, but yeah, anyway, so we have a really awesome center, and it's really beautiful, and we have lots of different spaces. Each of the spaces within our within each of the 2 that we have, all the rooms are named, so we've got all sorts of different names, and each room has different color schemes. And the decor is really important to us because, in my experience of having worked at all the different types of facilities that I have over the years, like oftentimes, and I think we can all say that in our experience of ever having gone into a hospital or anything, it's like pretty stark. It can be very cold. Artwork can be outdated. Maybe there's not even artwork. So I've been to places when my son was going through mental health challenges as a teenager, and having been in some facilities, outpatient, inpatient, there were times that I would go to sit down on a chair and I'd be like, it's so dirty. There's stains all over it. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
I think this is a great topic because a lot of people don't think about the small things like the space you're in.
Really
so
matters.
How about some tips on how to make a healthy space for a business?
Well, first of all, you can go to our website and just check out our space because it's really beautiful.
What's
you can
the website?
See each of the rooms. It's evolutionaryholistichealing.com. And so you'll be able to see, each of the rooms. We have many, many rooms. Each one has a different color scheme. There's different artwork. We have Himalayan salt lamps in each room.
Love those.
We have sound machines that produce a water sound, like a really beautiful babbling brook kind of sound throughout our entire place. So you hear water wherever you are in a lot of times, we'll see people in the waiting room just like eyes closed and they're just like mesmerized.
You're doing something right then if people are just at peace, like sitting in your building. Yeah.
We actually have clients that will say, I have autoimmune disease. I have, really, really intense physical symptoms that are very painful. But for some reason, when I'm in your space, I don't experience those symptoms. So we're like, okay, get yourself a diffuser and have your essential oils pumping.
These are simple things.
Get yourself a sound machine and have water playing so you can hear that throughout. Be mindful of the lighting. Like we don't use any sort of overhead lights. We just use lamps throughout the whole space. So it's a bit more of a subdued
warm
light.
Kind of feel.
More warm, exactly. Colors are really important. Artwork, what do you want
to
be looking at all day?
What color, like if I was going to create let's say a lot of E-System Center owners watch these videos.
Yeah.
What kind of color schemes might you use to inspire people to be more relaxed?
Well, we have, I'll take you through our space. We have sky. That's one of our offices. It's blue, a light blue. We've got celestial, which is like gold and kind of a dark blue. We have moon, which is like a light purple, not an obnoxious I know purple can be like kind of a funny color. It's a really beautiful, like almost a little lavender-esque, maybe a bit more gray. We've got water, which is blue, classic. We've got fire, which is kind of a yellow, orangey yellow kind of color. We have air, which is a nice gray. Our favorite color, Tiffany and I, is teal, like a tealish kind of color, which we have a room called Dream. That's that color. We have earth, which is kind of like a hunter green. It's a dark green. We have heart, which is our Heartbeat studio, music recording studio. That's kind of a pinkish, not an obnoxious pink. It's like a very subdued, I feel like it's very heart activating.
So you put a lot of intention and thought into your space, which is, I think that's something to appreciate. Yeah.
So something that I love to do, and this is like for my home and my business, I love going to like the paint store and just looking at all the different swatches that they have and just checking in with myself like, ooh, what am I feeling? Or I'll kind of envision the room that I want to get that paint for and look at, the whole board of colors and then just kind of start to pair and pick the ones that I like and just start to do the comparison and then ultimately retrieve the winner.
I love that as like a technology, like tuning into something like, how does this make me feel? You can do that with colors. You can do that with a lot of different things, foods. But yeah, just asking yourself, your inner self or your deeper self, like, how is this going to make me actually feel?
Exactly.
It's a really powerful and positive way to think is just, how is this am I going to be happy with this choice?
Totally.
It's like a mind hack. I used to do this back in the day. Will I be happy with this decision later? And it's like, short term, maybe, long term, no. It's like, oh, well, then no.
Right, exactly. Totally. And a lot of, like within our space, nobody has any assigned rooms at all. Like none of the practitioners, clinicians. A lot of times, like our clinicians will book, a certain room for maybe the entire day that they're seeing clients, but it's open for anybody to use any of the rooms. And so a lot of times, like if there's a particular time that I'm seeing clients when a lot of the rooms are available, I'll ask them, like, what are you feeling today? Are you feeling watery, airy, earthy? Do you want to get rooted? Do you want to connect to the sea, to tree? Because we've got all these naturey, elemental, hippy-dippy kind of names
you have
for
like
our space.
Static color therapy, basically, in your center. Just what room is making me feel good today? Yeah. Yeah,
and it's so true because sometimes people are like, I'm feeling really stuck. I think water would be awesome for me. I feel like I need to like move something. Each room has been curated, with different elements that are going to help to evoke what that element represents. So it's really helpful in that sense.
I think there's there's something powerful too, and a lot of people are thinking big picture, so they miss the small details. But you put a lot of small details and intentions into your space.
It's so important.
It's so
it's vital. I think it's vital. Yeah.
The little things really matter. Just even a smile to someone can change someone's entire day, which butterfly effect could cascade down to 20 different people. So the little things really do matter. People get lost in the big picture of like, well, I need to get famous really quick. It's like, that doesn't work that way. I need to get healthy really quick. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, back to what you were sharing earlier, just about, the energy of emotions. we all can get a sense of what someone is feeling emotionally, right? Just by their mere presence. I think it's 7% of communication is verbal.
That's so
So
funny
we've
when you
got
say that. Yeah.
93% of communication that's showing up in all sorts of other ways, tones, looks, nonverbal.
Yeah.
The list goes on, right? And so
Can you guys spot the 93% that the camera is filming? You're only hearing 7.
exactly, I know. Body language, it's big. So, just thinking, I am this person who's showing up and I'm presenting to the world what's going on internally for me. And then that will have a ripple effect upon those that are around me. And then, from that place, what those people ultimately do with that, right? If you're around someone who's like super aggressive or obnoxious, it's probably going to take a toll on you emotionally. And then that's going to impact how you feel and others. So it's just so vital for us to really work on ourselves first and foremost, and learn the tools and access the tools that are going to help to support us to find our homeostasis, to regulate our emotions, and to feel that sense of purpose in our step, in our path.
There's something there too that you said. It's you're product of your environment. So when you have negative people around you or people that are really stuck, sometimes it's better to walk away until they figure their shit out, or just cut them out completely, because there's a lot of toxic people out there, and the toxic people are typically trying to drag you into their toxic. They're like, I'm depressed, so I'm gonna make you depressed so that we're on the same level. It's like the amount of people.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying it. So people really need to be mindful of the people that they surround themselves with. If you want to be happy, you need to surround yourself with happy people. You want to be successful, you need to surround yourself with successful people. If you want to be a musician, obviously you're going to surround yourself with musicians, not people that are scholars and read books, because they have no idea how to play a guitar. So it's kind of a funny analogy there, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, in today's world, like, even if you're someone who doesn't believe that there's a lot of like happy people around you, then like find them on YouTube or find them somewhere on the internet, or watch a show where you're experiencing that. I back in the day, I can remember like a few clients who really, they experienced psychosis on a pretty persistent basis, like schizophrenia, for example, and didn't really have a lot of friends or family. And they would watch the show Friends. And that would help them to feel connected to more people.
That's probably why that show is so popular.
Right? Yeah. It's like, ooh, I can kind of pretend for a little bit. And, that in and of itself can be really supportive to just feeling a greater presence of socialization, even when it's not actually physically present in your life.
It's an interesting thought to dive into a show called Friends if you're lacking friends. But I guess that could be your first step to manifestation, is I need to see what friendship looks like so I can manifest it.
That's another way to work it too, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can model so much from what it is that you're exposed to or what you're drawn to. And I mean, who isn't modeling from someone? We've all been learning to model from other human beings. So back to your point of just, being mindful and conscious of who you're surrounding yourself with. It's so key, because ultimately you're going to be modeling that, right?
I think society is really lacking a lot of good models these days too, with social media being really illusionary, mainstream media being complete fabrication and narrative control. I think there should be a call to action for humanity to be the better role model that they can be, so that the people around them can be better role models for the future people. We need more leaders. We need more free thinkers. We need more healers, more people that will be aligned in truth. And unfortunately, so many people out there trying to be selfishly in control of a narrative that they don't care about the rest of humanity. And that cycle really needs to end. And I don't have the answer to that, but maybe someone listening will be inspired to just be a better role model for the people around them, because that's really where it starts.
Yeah, most definitely. And each of us can do that, right? We can all take a step in that direction.
Yeah, we all have the power to be a leader or a role model, even if it's small. I mean, it could be a small thing. You don't have to become the president or a famous actor. Those aren't typically role models anyways. It's just being a leader in your community, which could be just your family. It could be your block. It could be the grocery store you go into. Just being a kind person is simple things.
Totally. Love that.
Do you have any other modalities, mentally, physically, spiritually, that you would recommend general populous practice.
Yeah. So many in our center. I mean, we do in-house trainings for all of our clinicians, which is really beautiful. And sometimes some of our holistic consultants will also participate. One of our holistic consultants is a hypnotherapist. And so he's done some in-house training for us, which is pretty incredible to watch. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody going through hypnosis or if you've experienced it yourself.
I've read books
but it's
on
pretty
it,
amazing.
but I've never been under hypnosis. I've read books, and I used to try to hypnotize myself with a really weird technology just called a sticky note. So I would put them all over my door of my bedroom, these positive affirmations. So every time I walk through it, I would read this positive affirmation. And just it's repetitive. It's basic hypnosis is just a repetitive message.
Yeah.
So it's positive. Anyone can try this. I thought it made me happy. I'd walk through the door and I'd see a different note every time, or sometimes stop and read a few because you feel inspired and you write down these sticky notes and you stick them somewhere and then you're just like, oh, cool. It looks a little sloppy, but growing up as a teenager, especially, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you guys hypnotize each other?
Well, he would facilitate the hypnosis and did it to a couple, or did it for a couple of the members of our team. Yeah, which was pretty fascinating to watch. I remember at one point, he had said, okay, now open your eyes. And the person that he was, providing that to, tried to open their eyes and they just couldn't. It was amazing. It's so cool. So anyway, going into the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
And kind of tapping into what's in existence there and reprocessing, some of those memories and experiences so that you have a new relationship to them and they don't maybe haunt you in the way that they once did.
That's fun. Do you have any other great practices for people to better their life?
Yeah. I mean, I started to learn EMDR to support clients in. And, through that practice of also learning it, we would practice on each other. So I've received it as well. And it's been really incredible.
The healers healing the healers.
Yeah. A really, really profound technique. So EMDR, the E stands for eye, the M is movement, the D is desensitization, and the R is reprocessing. So basically, it's a way to kind of help reprocess the traumatic experiences that you've had in your life, or stressful. They don't have to be necessarily within the category of trauma. But I think a lot of people, though, do come for that purpose. And in that, you feel more desensitized to it. So it doesn't have the same charge as it once did as you go through the process of it. And it's really profoundly transformative for people. I've watched it kind of unfold. And it's really incredible.
How long did it take you to learn this or catch on to the basics?
I'm now into the 4th level. So I finished the 3rd level maybe about a year or so after I had started the training. It's been about a year and a half that I've been practicing it. But I've been in my field for 26 years, so I've been, learning all sorts of healing modalities and offering them to people for a long time. So I think I had a pretty good foundation to work with in learning EMDR and sharing that with people. Something that I've always really been attuned to is, the fact that we are our own healers. So even if we have 100 people around us that are helping to support us, at the end of the day, we are helping to heal ourselves.
Yeah, you have to.
We make the change ourselves in order to heal.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, anyone and everyone that's surrounding us and helping us in that regard is doing an incredible job and can help to influence us in the process. But ultimately, it's we have to make the steps in our lives to make that lasting change. And what I love about EMDR is that, it's very different from traditional psychotherapy because, you're asking somebody to close their eyes and go within. And they're using bilateral stimulation, which is something that we do when we walk or if we drum. It's tapping. You've heard of EFT or different types of tapping that's out there, different techniques. And so people are closing their eyes and they're starting to tap on a certain part of their body. and they're stimulating a particular memory that they've had, that they've struggled with. And then as the practitioner, I'm helping you in that process to like reprocess those experiences. We have a certain technique that we open and close with called resourcing. And it's simply just envisioning a peaceful place that you've identified, a nurturing figure or figures that you've identified, protective figures and wise figures in your life. They can be imaginary, they can be alive, people you've known, they can be deceased people, just anybody that you would identify in those categories, and you're envisioning them with your eyes closed, and it's bringing you into a more peaceful kind of place, and also helping you to feel the presence of those people who are in your life, whether you've known them or not.
That's fascinating.
And kind of supporting you along the way. And then throughout the EMDR experience, I might call upon some of those resources to come in and be a part of one of those past memories that you've had that you're trying to reprocess and work through and heal. And so you start to bring kind of new content into those old memories. And through that experience, you build a different relationship with it, and it doesn't have the same charge that it once did of intensity. It's really amazing.
It sounds like kind of like shamanic work
loving.
Without the plant medicine.
Yeah, definitely.
And you have the tribalism too of the tapping. Like it made me think of drums were a healing modality in the tribalistic, like people around the fire
still are,
all becoming
totally.
to one. Yeah, it's interesting that would evolve to using yourself as a drum with the mental work. That's really neat.
I mean, think about it. What was the first sound we heard?
Heartbeat. Yeah.
It's that drum.
60 to 120 beats per minute. Yeah.
It's amazing, right? So inherently, that's just the sound that we've all been so attuned to, and that is so profound to kind of find ourselves back in resonance with. That's why we call our music recording studio Heartbeat Studio, because
Cool.
It was the first sound that we all heard in utero. But yeah, drums are powerful. Bilateral stimulation is powerful. Just the mere walking is bilateral stimulation. So go on walks. Take care of yourself in that sense. Exercise. Yeah, all the things. We know all this stuff, right?
All the doctors always prescribe walking.
Yeah.
There's a reason. One of the oldest technologies in the book, but it's really healthy.
I remember one of my friends, too, growing up, his father had high blood pressure, and the doctor prescribed getting an aquarium and having fish and just watching the fish all day. I mean, not all day. I'm sure he didn't have time to do it all day, but, whenever he was able to, and that would help to decrease.
No, I love watching
His
animals in nature. That makes total sense, to be honest. Sometimes I'll just stare at trees in the wind and watch the leaves. Those little tiny, like you take for granted, but when you stare at it for a while, you remember it's very beautiful, and you see the light shining through the leaves and these little nuances, and you just become marveled at nature. But a lot of people forget to go out into nature and just be marveled by what God created, so to speak.
I know.
Yeah.
They call it forest bathing.
Is that what? That's what I was doing. I was forest
There's all
bathing.
this
All right.
terminology, yeah, these days, to kind of represent some of these incredible therapeutic outlets that we have, or earthing, right, where you take off your shoes and socks and you just walk on the earth.
Yeah, the body's a
earthing.
circuit, and complete the circuit with the ground, so it makes total scientific sense, even though it sounds woo-woo.
Yeah, exactly. The earth's rhythm. I mean, just laying down on the earth and feeling the earth's rhythm, feeling the presence of the earth and gravity and the foundation of the earth and everything that exists beneath the earth, just supporting you and sustaining you and holding you. I also love laying down on the grass and just looking up at the clouds.
I used to do that more as a kid, but
so
we would
amazing.
use our imagination and be like, that cloud looks like this and that one looks like this. But I think we get older and we take for granted the little things because we've been there or done that or something. But sometimes it's really nice to just take a moment to explore around you in nature and just marvel. And there's beauty there. And when you find beauty outside, you find beauty within.
Nature is a healer. Yeah. There's so much wisdom contained within nature. When I go on nature walks, it's like there's so many symbols and signs that I can, kind of transform or transmute into recognizing a more profound philosophy or perspective or value for me to carry in this life. And that can help guide me in my path. I love nature. Yeah. Such a teacher. So wise.
I think that's a great place to wrap up the show. Guys, like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. And if you'll drop your website one more time for those who might be visiting
Yeah,
New York.
most definitely. So it's evolutionaryholistichealing.com. You can find us on all the social as well that way. And my business is evolutionary psychotherapy and holistic healing. So we have that component to it as well, the psychotherapy part. But yeah, definitely check us out, and happy healing.
All right. Well, thank you, Molly. Well, everyone else have a beautiful day. Cheers.
Have a beautiful day. Thank you.